Hey, it's Jose here, and today I'm going to show you how to go from a total beginner to becoming a better salesperson, closing more deals on the phone, and feeling more confident on every single sales interaction that you get from this point forward. So if you are a coach, a freelancer, a small business owner, or a professional service provider, and you want to close more deals on the phone or in person, let me show you the 12 sales training basics you need to master to increase the likelihood of getting that beautiful yes at the end of the sales process. And if you stay to the very end of this video, I'll show you how you can get my free objection crusher guide, where you'll discover the 8 most common objections clients usually have and how to overcome them. So let's get rolling. Number 1, sales is like dating. Just as you wouldn't approach a girl in the bar and ask her to marry you without even getting to know her, you shouldn't be asking your prospects to pay you $5, $10, $15, $20,000 on the first time you connect with them. Just like you would take out your girlfriend to a date where you start asking some questions to understand who she is, and then you start talking about all the great things you can do for her in the future, you should be doing the same things with your prospects. And the time to get the close is not on the first interaction. Because here's the thing, sales is a sequence of steps to turn a complete stranger into someone who can trust you enough to swipe their credit cards or send you money through a wire transfer. And unfortunately, a lot of beginning salespeople don't understand this. And they focus on getting the sale on the first interaction, only to realize that the client will just say, "No, I don't need your stuff right now," or "I don't trust you," or "Why should I give you my money when we just met?" Number 2, a sales call is like a podcast where you are the host, meaning that you're there to ask questions. You don't have the spotlight when you are the host of the podcast. You're just the interviewer, making the other person be the one in the spotlight. So imagine for a while that you are like Joe Rogan and you invite some popular person to be part of your podcast, and you start interviewing them and asking them questions. Then you start digging deeper and deeper and deeper to understand what they do. Taking this idea of being Joe Rogan and just asking questions like if you were on a podcast, during the sales call or the sales process, you should be doing the same. You will ask questions, and you will ask more follow-up questions until you finally understand the pains and the aspirations that your potential clients have. Numero 3, forget about closing the deals. You are not there to close the deals. I understand how this might sound a little bit contrarian, but bear with me. Remember, sales is a process. You're not there to close the deal in the first interaction. You're there to understand. You're there to ask questions. You're there to make the prospect feel comfortable around you so you can gain that person's trust so they can finally say, "Yes, I want to work with you. How can we make this a reality?" By focusing more on what the person is trying to say to you during the phone call, you remove the pressure of trying to close the deal, which will help you feel more comfortable and more relaxed, and just remove all of the stress that you might be getting throughout the sales process, because you're not there to close the deal. You're there to understand. Number 4, never try to convince. Think about this. Have you ever tried to convince or persuade someone to buy something that they don't need? It's practically impossible. And if you actually succeed of getting someone to buy something they don't need, you will have a very hard time trying to deliver on the promises that you made throughout the sales process. You'll also be doing a big disservice for the long-term goals that you have in regards to getting more money and getting more sales and getting more people to trust you. I've heard so many horror stories of salespeople trying to convince the client to buy something that they don't need, only to create chaos around them. Here's the alternative. Focus on building trust so you don't have to convince. By giving people what they actually need and providing a path to take them from point A to point B with your solutions, with your services, with your products, you'll actually be in a better position to negotiate in a way that you don't have to be begging for money, begging for the yes, and avoiding all of that convincing that a lot of beginning salespeople get into. Number 5 is don't sell scared. You're not there to get the sale. Remember, you're there to be of value. You're there to provide a real solution to a real problem. And if you focus on just getting the sale, you'll fail in understanding what the prospects actually need, which eventually will get to the point where they're going to say,
No, stop it. I don't need this.
And what will happen next? On your future sales call, you'll get desperate and you'll get overwhelmed with the thinking that the prospect will just say no like the previous one. And then you'll just get scared of future sales call or Zoom calls or in-person meetings. Now, how do you actually avoid getting scared of the sales call? Let's refer back to number 3. Forget about closing deals. Remember, you are there to understand, so then you can provide a real-life solution to a real-life problem. Number 6. Do your due diligence. In other words, research the client. Look, if you want to increase your self-confidence so you can overperform throughout the sales call, researching the client is one of the best way to increase that confidence, because by knowing who the client is, what they do, what they're all about beforehand, you'll be able to better grasp everything that they will tell you throughout the phone call. Also, you will make them feel validated by talking a little bit about what you learned throughout the research, and you do so in a very organic way. For example, let's say that you go to the prospect's website and you discovered that they were recently awarded a big award for some great thing that they accomplished in the last couple of years. Feel free to talk a little bit about that award that they got, so that way they feel validated that you actually took some time of your busy schedule to research who they are. Number 7, you are the prize. And here's a reframe of who you actually are in this interaction between you and the prospect. Think about this. You're there to solve a burning problem, something that has bugged the hell out of that prospect potentially for years. And if you have the solution to that burning problem, then you are actually the prize. So in the end, they actually need you more than what you need them. So this is just a mindset thing. You are the prize. And if they don't work with you, they're missing out and they'll stay suffering because they'll still have that burning problem they told you about throughout the phone call. Number 8. Follow-up questions are golden. If you want to unearth the real challenges and the real struggles and the real pains your prospect currently have, follow-up questions is how you actually unearth all of these issues. So let's imagine that you help clients get more leads, and they tell you that they have been struggling with a lack of leads for the last 6 months. And they tell you about that.
Hey, look, I don't have enough leads. It's been 6 months since I've generated a really good lead. How can you help me?
This is where the follow-up questions come in. Here's where you ask, hey, tell me a little bit more about your lead generation system. And once the client tells you about their lead generation system, then you can start asking more follow-up questions on the details they tell you about throughout that moment. And slowly but steady, you'll be able to unearth all of the challenges, the struggles, the emotional strain that these issues are causing on your prospects. Hopefully you've noticed a pattern over here. It's all about understanding, so you can later on provide a solution. And you understand the prospects by listening attentively and staying quiet, which is actually number 9. Stay quiet. You're there to interview the client, the prospect, as if they were the person you invited to a podcast. The spotlight is on top of them, and you're only there as someone to guide them through the sales call. So the less you talk throughout the phone call is actually much better. Because remember, you're not there to convince, you're there to understand. And to understand, you need to stay quiet and focus on what the person is saying. Basically, the less you talk, the better the sales call. Because in the end, how do you actually feel when you find someone that finally listens to you without interrupting you, without asking dumb questions, without telling you how to solve the problem? How do you feel? If you are like me, well, I feel fantastic when people listen to my stuff without interruptions. Number 10, most objections fall into 3 main buckets. Bucket 1, lack of trust. And you'll usually get the following replies from your clients when they don't trust you enough.
Do you have some testimonials? Who are your past clients? What are your guarantees?
So if one of your prospects asks you all of these questions that I just told you, man, I can tell you that that person doesn't trust you. Oh, and by the way, if you would like to learn how to crush these objections, I added a link down below. And if you click it, you'll be able to download my Objection Crusher Guide, where you'll learn how to reply and answer and overcome 8 of the most common objections clients usually have. Anyhow, let's talk about bucket number 2, lack of need. When the client tells you, I'm busy, I'm doing fine now, or I have someone else that's already doing that job, it usually means that they don't actually need your services. So it's much better just to maybe follow up a little bit more to understand what you can actually do for them. But usually it's best to disqualify them right there or just say, thank you so much for your time and proceed with your day. And finally, we have bucket number 3, money. The common objections you'll get when there is no money is that they'll tell you that it's too expensive or that they can get this done for half the cost with someone in another country. Usually when someone says that they don't have money or that it's too expensive, it's because it's actually too expensive for them and they don't have money, or you fail to convey the real value of your offerings, your service, or your products. So look, most objections just fall into these buckets. Bucket 1, lack of trust. Bucket 2, lack of need. And bucket 3, money or lack of money. Number 11, you need a sales script. When you are beginning, this is like the best tool that you can ever create. And what the hell is a sales script? It's nothing more than just having all of the questions that you'll be asking the client once you get into the sales call. So by having these questions right next to you, you'll be able to avoid overthinking what to ask next. And the more you practice this sales script with you potential clients, the easier it will be for you to actually conduct a real sales call without having the sales script next to you. A sales script is like having training wheels when you're learning how to ride the bike. See it like that. They're nothing more than a way to train yourself to ask better questions, to understand how to extract more information from the client, and having the sales script as a guide to focus more on the sales call than thinking too much on what to ask next. And finally, we have number 12, always be learning. Look, every new sales interaction is actually a potential market research. Think about this. Someone is spilling the beans of their companies. Someone is telling you about all of the problems that they have. Someone is telling you about the goals that they have. What can you do with all of that information? Well, you take note, you put it in your database, and then you start finding the patterns between all of the interactions that you have. Understanding all of this data will basically give you mind-reading superpowers. When you understand the market, you actually understand much better the prospect that you're dealing with. Because most people within the very same market usually have the same challenges, usually have the same goals. And by knowing about these challenges and by knowing about these goals, you'll be able to convey the value of your offers, of your services, of your offerings in a much more compelling and persuasive way. And this will give you the confidence to pitch your services like a pro. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found massive value on everything I just told you. And look, you now have a bunch of resources on how to become a better salesperson. And here's one final gift for you. In the description of this video, you'll find a link to my Objection Crusher guide. Click that link, subscribe to my newsletter, and get this free guide where you'll discover how to answer to the 8 most common objections clients have. My name is Jose Rosado. Smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video.